Hello class, in this lecture we're going to be talking about the Hebrew vowels. In chapter 1 of Basics of Biblical Hebrew we looked at the consonantal alphabet of Hebrew, and in this chapter we're going to be looking at the vowels known as vowel pointings. So please follow along in your textbook as we're going over these, and we're going to talk about the vowels. So as I said, and as we talked about during chapter 1 and lecture 1, the Hebrew alphabet is consonantal in nature. So if you look at that first line of Hebrew there, that's just the consonantal text. We've got a wow, an aleph, a hey, a bait, a tau, an aleph, a tau, and so on. Yod, hey, wow, hey, and so on. That's just what the consonantal text would look like without the vowel pointings. The text below it is what it would look like and what it does look like with the vowel pointings. It's in red, just so that you can see those vowels a little bit more clearly. They normally wouldn't be in red. But right now those might look like just like dots and dashes with squiggles to you. But if you practice and you learn those consonants, just a few a day, a few at a time, and then you learn a few of the vowels at a time, it will make sense in a very short period of time. If you practice for 15 minutes a day, or 15 minutes a segment, and you practice like 5 to 10 times, 15 minutes each a day, you will be well set up to learn and to know biblical Hebrew. And so this text right here says, "Wa'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol levavka," which means, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart. So it's a beautiful text, right? It's a very important text. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. And of course it goes on and says more, but this is just a small little phrase out of that text. So when we think about vowels, I'm going to break them down into long vowels, short vowels, reduced vowels, vowel letters, things along those lines. And so we're going to learn some different classes of vowels. 3 of those classes of vowels are A class, E class, and O class. And these are going to be long vowels that we're looking at right here. And the first vowel that we're going to look at is called a kometz. This sounds like the ah. It's an A class vowel. It sounds like ah and father. And whenever we learn vowels, we're always going to put them with a consonant just so that we can pronounce them with a consonant. So we're going to pronounce the consonant first. Here we've got a bait, right? And then we've got the kometz. So this is going to be pronounced ba for the consonant, bait, and then the ah, like in father, so ba. The next one is a tsere. It's going to be pronounced like the E or the EY in the word they. So it's bay, that's how this would be pronounced. And the next one is an O sound. It's an O class vowel, and it sounds like an O, like in whole or roll. So this would be bo. So ba, bay, bo, or a, o for those vowel sounds. So those are the long vowels. There are also some short vowels. A, E, I, O, and U class, same kinds of vowels that we have in English. The first one is apathic, which is an ah sound like or an ass sound like in bat. So this is ba, ba. The next one is a very short E sound like in better, eh. So this is be, be. The next one is a heroic. It's an I sound like in bitter, eh. So be, be. The next one is a kometz hatuf, and it's got a kind of a short O sound like in bottle. So ba. But look at the kometz hatuf, and then look at the kometz from the previous slide. They look the exact same. They are the exact same in the way that they look. You will learn how to differentiate these a little bit later when we talk about the rules for how Hebrew works. For right now, it's almost always the kometz. So we'll just, when you pronounce it like an ah, like in father whenever you see this, and then you'll learn how to distinguish the kometz versus the kometz hatuf later. The next one is the kibbutz, and it's ruler like ru, so this is b. So it's a U sound. Again, all of these are short. They don't have accentuated, like really long sounds in them. And then we've got super short vowels, known as reduced vowels. So you're going to see them. They're going to have these 2 dots next to them. So so that's just, we're just going to call that these are going to be like reduced vowels, the hetef vowels. So you've got the hetef, Pathak or Pathic. And so it's just an even shorter A sound. Amuse, right? Amuse. It's not amuse, it's amuse. Or the Hetef Sagul, it's still got that E sound, but it's even shorter, metallic. So before, if you remember, the Sagul was like in better. Here it's not metallic, it's metallic. Or think about the E in because. It's barely there, right? The next one is the Hetef Kametz. This is the O class, right? So this is like commit. So, bo. I mean, it's bo. I mean, it's just barely there. The Hetef Kametz. So the Hetef Pathak, the Hetef Sagol, and the Hetef Kametz. We'll look at each of these together. This is probably the slide in the picture that you want to study from here, because you're going to remember the A sounds, the E sounds, the I sounds, the O sounds, and the U sounds together from this particular slide. So you've got the A class vowels, the Kametz, the Pathak, and the Hetef Pathak. And then you've got Tsere, Segol, and Hetef Segol for the E sounds. And then the Hirik is the I class vowel. And then O, you've got Holam, and then the Kametz Hatuf, and then the Kametz, Hetef Kametz, and then you've got the Kibbutz. We will learn some other vowels as well. There are vowels that appear with letters, but notice these sound basically the exact same as they did before. So they'll appear at the end of words, and so you've got the Kametz Hey, and it just sounds like all like and father, just like the Kametz did. The Tsere Hey sounds like the EY and they, just like the Tsere did. So Bay, right? The Segol Hey sounds like the E and better. So Be. It's the exact same. All of these are the exact same in the way that they're pronounced. So don't even think of these really. I mean, they are different vowels, but think of you don't have to really remember anything new with any of them, because they all sound the same as just the vowels themselves. So think about it as kind of like a silent H on the end of a word, like we do in English. It's not really that way. That's not exactly what's going on here, but think of it in a similar fashion as you're trying to remember these things. There are also vowels that are written with the letter wow. So these are a little bit tricky. So these are the two most difficult ones, probably. So a Holam wow is pronounced as just like a Holam. Right? It's just pronounced like a Holam. Bo. So this isn't like whoa. You don't pronounce the W sound there. It's just bo. And the next one is known as a shurik. You don't pronounce the W sound here either, because this is a vowel. So it's boo. It's like an oo sound. So boo. So shurik, boo. So the Holam wow and then the shurik. And then you've got letters with the yod. These letters with the yod are pretty similar. So the Tsere yod and the Segel yod sound the exact same as just the Tsere and the Segel. So the EY and they for the Tsere yod. The Segel yod is the like in better. It's different with the Hirik though. It's a little bit different with the Hirik. With the Hirik, this is more like a B, almost like B-E-E. It's an E-E sound. Machine, right? So you've got the I sound like machine. It almost sounds like two E's next to each other in English. So that's really the one that you would want to focus on in this slide. The Tsere yod and the Segel yod, they sound the same as the Tsere and the Segel. Right? Here, the Hirik yod is going to be the only one that sounds a little bit different. Because remember, the Hirik just sounded like the I, like in bitter. Now it's sounding like the machine, the een, like a machine. So, if you want to remember these A-E-I-O-U class of vowels that end with hey or that have the wow with them, they're here. But again, really the only ones that kind of are distinct are the Hirik Yod. The Holam Wow is not pronounced with a W, so that one could throw you off. And the Shurik is more like uh. It's almost like the two O's in mood. Shurik. So remember these, but really just remember with the ones that end with hey, they sound the same. Right? The ones that end with Y, they mostly sound the same, except for the Hirik Yod. And then the Shurik is completely different, and the Holam Wow is just pronounced like a Holam. So again, just try to do a few of these a day. Try to master them. And if you don't get all of these in the first week, that's okay. It can drag into week 2. But the best way you're going to learn these is to read Hebrew words. So there's also, this isn't super important to remember, sometimes words can be spelled in different ways in Hebrew, just like in English. Sometimes this will be called defective writing. So look at that word, shofar. You've probably heard that word before. It's a ram's horn, a shofar. So you've got shofar with a holam wow, and then you've got shofar with a holam. It's spelled both ways. It doesn't matter. It's the exact same word. Then you've got another word where you've got the shurik, and then you've got the kibbutz. It's the same word. And then you've got like David's name here, Dawid. Sometimes it's a Hirik Yod. Sometimes it's just a Hirik. Not a big deal. Right? There are just variant spellings at times. It's the same word. You just have to recognize that sometimes words are just spelled a little bit differently. And it depends on the time period in which they were written as well, often. And that just happens in every language. All the books of the Old Testament weren't written in the exact same time. So guess what? Spellings, they sound the same pretty much, but the spellings might be slightly different. But with something like shofar, right, it's pronounced the exact same. This next symbol, so if you see those 2 dots that are under the bait there, that's known as a schwa. The schwa is a very short vowel sound. Sometimes it's vocal, sometimes it's silent, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in lessons to come. So it is a very common vowel sound. Sometimes it's vocal, sometimes it's silent, and sometimes you'll see a dot in a word. So if you remember from chapter 1, we had the Begad Kifat letters, and they had a Dagesh Lene in them, and it changed the sound of them. Well, the dot can appear in most other letters except for the gutturals and resh, but it doesn't change the sound of those other letters when it appears in them. It actually just doubles them. So usually when it appears in them. So this is known as a Dagesh Forte. So you're just going to spend a little bit more time on that whenever you do it. But again, the best way to learn these things is going to be to read Hebrew words. So gutturals, which we mentioned in chapter 1, gutturals and resh, they're going to prefer certain types of vowels. They like, generally speaking, they actually prefer kind of like A-class vowels. But they can't take the vocal schwa. And they'll only be in those kind of, they prefer A-class vowels, and they won't be with those reduced vowels typically. So it's not as frequent. So the best way to learn the alphabet, the best way to learn the sounds of the alphabet, the best way to learn the vowels, the best way to learn the sounds of the vowels is always going to be to read Hebrew words. Even if you don't know what they're saying, this lesson, all of the vocabulary is names or place names. And so it's really easy to do. And so follow along with me as we read these words. So as we read each of these letters. So we've got Abraham's name. So we're going to read the consonant, but the aleph here is silent. And then you've got the patak, and then the bait, then the schwa, and this schwa is silent, then the resh, and you've got the kametz, and then the hey, and then the kametz, and then the final mem. So this is Av Raham. Av Raham is how you say that. So we pronounce it Abraham. The next one is Aharon. Aharon, Aaron. The next one is Doed, David. The next one is Yehuda, Yehuda, Judah. There's no J sound in Hebrew. That's come to us as we've kind of transliterated it and then moved it into other languages. So Yehuda. The next one is the divine name. I read it in Deuteronomy 6:5, but I read Adonai. In classical Hebrew, depending on who trains you, people will read Hashem, which just means the name there. Sometimes people will say Adonai, which is just a generic word for Lord there. When we see this divine name, Yahweh, or the Lord, in English, it'll be all caps, Lord, all caps. So this is, whenever you'll hear me reading it during like lessons and different things like that, I was trained to say Adonai, which just means Lord, so I'll say that. Joshua's name is Yehoshua. Yehoshua. Joseph's name, Yosef. Yosef. Jacob, Yaakov. Yaakov. Isaac, Yitzchak. Yitzchak. So you got the chet there. Yitzchak. Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, right? So Yerushalayim. You'll also see that there's an alternate form, Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim. The next one is Jeremiah. This one's going to throw you off a little bit. Yirmiyahu, Yirmiyahu. The next one is Israel, Yisrael, Yisrael. The next one is Canaan, Canaan. So you have that I in there, Canaan, right? It's just a hard glottal stop. The next one is Mitzrayim, which is Egypt. So Mitzrayim. The next one is Moses, Moshe, Moshe. The next one is Esau, Esau. So that one's harder. Esau. Right, so you've got the ayin that starts it off with the tsere underneath, which is that hard almost A sound. It's the EY in there. It's an E-class vowel, but it almost sounds like a hard A. Esau with the scene, and then the kametz, and then a wow. The next one is Pharaoh, Paro, Paro. So you can hear the ayin o, Paro, Paro. I'm not trying to say like pargo or anything like that, but Paro, Paro. The next one is Zion, Tzion, Tzion. So it's a tzade, right? So tzi, and then the hirik yod, right? And then the yod has a dagesh in it, right? So you're going to doubly pronounce that. So Tzion, Tzion. Zion, which is another name for Jerusalem, right? The mountain on which Jerusalem dwells. Saul, Shaul, Shaul. It's a sheen. The kametz, the aleph is silent, and then a shurik and a lamed, Shaul. Solomon, Shlomo, Shlomo. And then Samuel, Shemuel, Shemuel. This first week when you're learning chapters 1 and 2 and you're going through these things and you're practicing reading these things, the biggest thing that you can do is to practice reading the Hebrew. Learn those vowel sounds, learn those consonant sounds, and just repeat those over and over again. I don't think you're going to find the assignments this week too trying. So please dedicate your time and your energy to reading the Hebrew text over and over and over again, and just practice looking at these names. Yaakov, Yitzchak, right? Yerushalayim, right? So just read those names over and over and over again, and practice reading the Hebrew. I hope that this helps. Now may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of His Holy Spirit be with you all. Go in His peace.